and sorry for the slightly late start. We've got a lot of attendees participating today, and we've still got probably 50 or more so coming into the conference bridge. Great, lots of feedback from everybody. Thank you so much, everyone. That's wonderful. All right, I'm Ken Shaw. I'm the CEO of SOS Online Backup. I'm here joined today by Lynn Weber, one of our senior partner specialists. And today's webinar is about how you as a potential partner of SOS can get into the online backup business. The audience for these webinars is usually VARs, MSPs, IT service providers who specialize in bringing miscellaneous products and services solutions to their customer bases and are considering bringing online backup to market. So what we're going to cover today is a brief overview of who SOS Online Backup is. We'll then turn and look at the traditional backup and disaster recovery industry, particularly as it pertains to VARs and MSPs and resellers, looking at tape backup as the predominant technology incumbent in that space. We'll then turn to look at online backup and the benefits it poses as a technology solution as compared to more traditionally centralized architected backup solutions, and then turn that into the business question. We'll first look at the technology, but then we'll look at the business opportunity. So how can you as an MSP or a VAR or a computer repair store or a software company or an ISP add online backup into your products and services mix to drive revenue for your business? We'll be giving away a Kindle at the end of today's webinar, everybody, and to get the instructions to participate in that raffle, you've got to stick around to the end of the webinar, I'm sorry, at which point we'll give you the details for how to participate in that raffle. Again, Kindle will announce the details at the end of the webinar. One last housekeeping item is that we try and make these sessions as dynamic and interactive as possible. So we've got lots of comments here from Roger Hunt and Daniel Brown and Tom and Chris Muller, Mark Jones, just to pick out a few names on the audio. What we'd really love to encourage is for you to then participate throughout the webinar by asking questions as we go along. And we'll both, there's a Q&A section at the end of the webinar, which will go for about 20 minutes. But what we also try and do is to answer questions throughout the webinar as they relate to the content being discussed. So feel free to ask any old question at any time. If it's directly related to the content, we'll answer it in conjunction with the content. If it's a more general question, we'll handle it at the end of the webinar. But don't worry, your questions will not be ignored. They'll all be addressed. All right, so let's dive in. So firstly, just a brief overview of who SOS is. As a company, we've been around since 2001. We were formed to go after the online backup market. That's our exclusive focus. We don't, we don't worry about any other technologies as most of our competitors do. We've always focused on being the best of breed technology platform in the market. So we've been PC Magazine Editor's Choice Award winner for many years running, and we win many industry accolades. You can Google us and you can see a lot in the press about the fact that we keep our technology platform at the very cutting edge of the online backup market, which is one way we differentiate ourselves. The next point is probably more relevant to everybody on the line, which is that what we focus on doing is providing an online backup platform. What I mean by that is that we specialize in providing online backup services to VARs and MSPs. And we're not exactly the only game in town focusing on that. I'll just go back a slide. But we certainly are the market leader in that space. We've got more than 1,000 partners worldwide, 4 major global locations, 10 data centers around the world, more than 200 employees, nearly 10 million PCs on our grid, and more than 3 million customer accounts. So we're quite large. We've become quite successful at getting partners like yourselves into the online backup market and making you successful. We are only successful if you succeed in selling and driving revenue from online backup. We've actually grown 300% in the last year, which is really a point about our existing partners rather than a point about us. The fact that we've grown so much, I think, is testimony to the fact that we've really helped a lot of people get into this business successfully, and we'd like to try and repeat that success with all of you here today. In terms of the company history, we have been around a long time, which I think is important. There's a lot of startups in this space, but we are very, we're a large and stable and rapidly growing company. We've proven our model time and time again, and just on the right-hand side, some of the key pillars of our business that we've built I've already touched on, but being the #1 technology platform, and then secondly, being the leader of really the reseller channel for online backup. So our claim to fame is that we dominate the reseller channel for online backup VARs and providers. We've got a lot of different partner programs, which we'll talk about today, and our goal is to really get, there's 100 people at today's webinar, to get all of you to join up and start selling online backup either as a standalone product or as a service that you can bundle in with other technologies that you're selling. In terms of where we fit in the marketplace, we generally focus on the SMB market. Either we sell to the SMB market directly, we've got a small business there, but our main focus, as I said, is through resellers. In terms of some other brands in the market, this slide just lays out brands that you might be familiar with. Carbonite and Mozy, obviously strong in the consumer space, Iron Mountain and Semantic in the enterprise space. We've got both consumer customers and consumer partner solutions as well as enterprise partner solutions. But our real wheelhouse and where we find the greatest and strongest reception among our partners is partners who sell through to the small business market. It's by far the fastest growing sector of the online market today. I beg your pardon, the online backup market today. And then this slide just provides a high-level summary of what it is we're about here at SOS. We, as depicted by a logo on the left-hand side of this slide, we take all of our technology and expertise. We then take that and we run that through and filter that through your entire go-to-market model, whatever that is, whether you're a hardware company or a software company or an MSP that sells some hardware and some software, or you're an ISP. We've got various solutions where we can productize an online backup offering for you and your company in a way that matches your brand and your go-to-market sales strategy. We then work with you to create custom offerings for your customers with the end goal of doing four things. We want to drive incremental revenue for your business that's high margin, that's a recurring revenue base in the form of a managed service for your customers. That's what today's webinar is about. And then this slide just gives you a 10,000-foot overview of the type of online backup business in a box we're talking about. And we'll see more of this later, but on the screen is just an example of some various white-labeled online backup solutions we've delivered to the market in recent months. And we'll see more of that branding later in the presentation. So let's turn to the technology that has dominated the backup and DR space for the last 2 decades. Generally, when we approach the market and when we work with our partners to build their business plan for approaching the market, we slice it into these 3 categories. Consumer, usually being single or 2-seat deployments. SMB, which we characterize as being about 5 seats up to 500, and then the enterprise space above 500 seats. Looking at those 3 sectors, you've actually had different approaches to backup being the de facto standard in each one. In the consumer space, there's really been no de facto standard. In fact, most market research shows that less than 10% of consumers have backup with any sort of regularity. Where they did, it was usually an on-site backup solution, maybe architected around a USB external hard disk drive or a USB flash key. Fairly low fidelity backup solutions and hardly ever off-site. In the small business market, off-site backup was far more common, but usually, nearly always, architected around a rotating tape-based backup regime where tapes are being rotated off-site at different periodicities. This approach is what takes this tripartite approach to architecture: hardware, software, and labor. So the hardware being usually tape arrays and the hardware that they run on, software being a tape-based backup solution like Backup Exec or perhaps Dance Retrospect, and then labor. The labor component was the soft costs and often the unidentified costs associated with actually running that tape-based backup solution. And that's just not the time and labor involved in setting it up, but the time and labor involved in running it. So every day somebody has to take that tape off site. Every week they should be verifying that those tapes are in fact recoverable, which was a major source of pain with tapes. And then when it actually comes to recoveries could often be multi-day affairs when you had a complete system meltdown and were recovering from multiple tapes. So the labor component is actually an extremely important component of the cost associated with tape-based backup solutions, which actually goes away when you move to the cloud, and we'll see that in a minute. And then in enterprise, a similar approach to what was incumbent in the SMB space, and still, frankly, is very common in the enterprise space. But we also then add in an additional factor of the services cost associated with the deployment. So oftentimes, when you're talking about enterprise-level DR regimes, yes, you've still got the hardware, software, and labor component to run it, but you've also then got a pretty hefty labor component usually associated with the initial deployment. So in a $200,000 disaster recovery deployment by IBM, it wouldn't be uncommon for $50,000 to go to GBS to actually do the implementation. So that's a fourth component to the way we look at costing an enterprise backup solution based on tape. All the same logic applies to disk-based backup regimes as well, to slightly different cost economics, but just from an architectural standpoint, disk and tape are synonymous here. Now let's contrast that to the cloud. When we're talking about online backup and we talk about launching John Ebby's online backup service or Phil Downs, just to pick on a couple of attendees, we then take all of those same components, the software, hardware, the services, and the support, wrap it all up into a software as a service solution and deliver it over the wire with pure software on the client end. So dramatically simpler deployment, dramatically simpler management, dramatically lower cost of ownership, and fundamentally better service and a far higher level of data protection delivered. And that's borne out in the statistics associated with the tape backup market. Just looking at the economics of tape backup, over the last 24 months, tape backup sales have shrunk from $2.3 billion down to $1.5 billion, and are projected to collapse into sub 500 million within the next 2 years. So we're seeing a pretty dramatic fall off in the sale of tape-based backup solutions, and you're actually seeing a similar decline in disk-based backup. I don't have a slide specifically on disk, but the statistics, whilst not as dramatic on disk, are still pretty aggressive. We flip that and we look at the growth in cloud-based backup solutions. You've got a recent survey by CTO Edge magazine saying that more than 70% of CTOs surveyed in North America are intending on moving their backup to the cloud. 60% are intending on phasing out tape. So you've got a pretty profound set of numbers which indicate an enormous groundswell for online backup, and an enormous opportunity that's pending in the market for online backup. And really, the question that we then pose to everybody on the line here today is actually stems from a quote from one of our partners, which is, if we don't sell our customers a cloud-based backup solution, someone else will, so why not us? And I think that's a fantastic question, and really one that I pose to everyone here today, that if you're not going to sell an online backup solution, what's a challenge really? If you aren't going to sell online backup to your customers, I assure you that someone else is going to. So why shouldn't that be you? And we say it should be. So just to put some actual numbers behind those assertions that I've just been making, this slide does a one-up comparison on a standard tape backup solution for a small business. There's a real-life customer reference. I think they had 8 or 9 employees and about 100 gigabytes of data that was being backed up. Pretty typical sort of small business environment with a server and a few workstations. What this shows, if you look at the tape backup deployment, this does not cost the labor component I referred to earlier. And our own market research shows that the labor component can be as much as twice as the hardware component. What this slide just looks at is the hard costs. And it shows a total 5-year cost of $9,130 with a total first-year cost, very capital-intensive outlay, of $6,146. Contrast that to the cost of an online backup solution. First-year cost $1,000, so only 16% of the cost of the tape backup solution. The 5-year cost, still roughly half the total 5-year cost of the tape-based backup solution. Okay, great. Roger will answer your question in just 1 second. So I want to draw everybody's attention to 2 key things here. Firstly, the cost to your client, right? Because that's really this scenario. Everybody on the line is selling backup and DR through to your clients. So their first-year cost with a tape backup solution or sub-in disk, roughly 5 or 6 times as much as the first-year cost as the online backup solution. The 5-year cost, roughly double. But when we then look at the margin to you as a partner, your margin on the tape-based backup solution is a one-off margin, usually low single digits, so 5 or 6 points is pretty common on that type of hardware, in which case, using that as the basis of the equation, your margin for that sale on that tape backup is only $500 at once off. Compare that to your margin on online backup, which is for you in the business, so that you can sell it to your customers and get that recurring, highly profitable revenue. So just putting some numbers behind all of these claims I've been making. This scenario does two things. It compares the cost of tape backup, there are very similar costs associated with a disk-based backup array, to online backup from two perspectives. First is from your customer's perspective, so what is the total cost of ownership from your customer's perspective? Second is from your perspective. So if we look at this solution, this is taken from a real customer with, I think, 8 or 9 PCs and 1 server. And the total cost of the solution was $9,000 over 5 years, and that was a $6,000 upfront purchase of hardware and software that they had to purchase, and some ongoing residual costs on annual licenses and tapes. And this does not cost the labor component that we talked about earlier, and our studies have shown that the labor costs can actually be as much as 100% of the costs of the hard costs. So you could potentially double this, but I don't want to do that. It's a very conservative model. Same amount of data being backed up online only costs the customer $1,000 in year 1 and $5,000 over 5 years. So it's half of the 5-year cost, and it's a sixth or 16% of the year 1 cost. So it's a fundamentally better cost proposition as far as your customer is concerned. Well, it's also a fundamentally better technology proposition, which we'll talk about in a few moments. But then look, if I can draw your attention to the bottom table. The bottom table then looks at the economics of online backup, and the points below emphasize that if we look at the margin to you as an IT reseller or the person actually selling this solution through to your customers, on that tape backup sale, that $6,000 in year 1, that's a one-time sale on which typical reseller margin will be single-digit percentage points, so 5 or 6 points is typical, for a commission of only $500 on the tape backup sale once. Where if you compare that to the online backup sale, your commission it'll vary about depending on pricing. We'll talk about pricing in a moment, but typically 50% margins. Most of our partners are running more than 50% margins. So in this example, it's the cost in question is $1,000 a year, and you as the reseller are earning $500, but you're earning that every single year. So over the 5 years, you've made $2,500 with online backup, and your customers have paid half as much compared to tape, where they've spent double and you've only made $500. So the recurring, this example really highlights that what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get you and your customers to move to a technology platform that is fundamentally more sound for your customers, is fundamentally far less expensive for your customers, and is much better for you and your business, providing you with ongoing, recurring, highly profitable revenue. And then this slide just compares, just in terms of, if there's anybody on the line who's not convinced about the decline of tape or its problems, just some brief summary points that we all know about. The limitations of these centrally architected backup solutions. Deployments is usually complex. There's usually IT staff required with tape backup. With online backup, it's a simple software package that just gets installed on all the PCs that need to be protected. With tape and disk backup, coverage is a real problem. So laptops are nearly always outside of the backup regime. Branch offices are nearly always outside of the backup regime. Any distributed data really isn't going to be protected. Whereas with online backup, all devices are connected to your backup cloud. So laptops, servers, workstations, iPhones, BlackBerry, it doesn't matter. They're all connected to the backup cloud. With disk or tape, media's got to be carried off-site. It usually isn't. Often isn't, so you don't have off-site backup. Online backup, off-site protection's inherent. Tape backup recovery is very slow, very difficult, complex, risky, and very expensive. This is a major pain point for a lot of people who become our partners, citing examples where they've had to do these full recoveries, which can take days and often don't get properly compensated for them. With online backup, recovery is extraordinarily easy. In fact, recovery can actually be done by the end users themselves. So everybody in the business can actually log onto their online backup account, search it instantly, and recover their data themselves. They don't even need to call central IT, let alone call you. So recovery becomes quick and painless. Security, tape and disk have fundamental security problems associated with them, particularly where media is being taken off site. It's usually not stored in properly secure environments. The data is usually not appropriately encrypted. The media is filled with data breach incidents associated with IT staff members taking tapes off-site that then become compromised, that have thousands of employee records, et cetera, on them. With online backup, all data is encrypted with military-grade encryption. We've got banks and governments and military agencies as customers, so you've got incredible security of data with online backup. From a management standpoint, tape and disk is very time intensive and quite complicated. With online backup, management becomes very easy. It's pretty much set and forget software that can then be managed remotely. And then from a cost standpoint, we've already seen this. So tape and disk, very expensive and very capital intensive. Online backup is far more affordable. From a margin and revenue standpoint, so the blue bar is really about your business. When you sell tape backup, it's a one-time commission that you make on that sale. It's usually a relatively low margin, and then you've got a lot of costs, hidden costs built into your business in supporting that customer because it's problematic technology. Whereas with online backup, you can make up to 60, 70, 80% profit margin on your revenue, and that revenue is recurring and predictable, which is very nice from a business standpoint. So summarizing all that, what we aim to do and what we deliver time and again with our partners is to take backup from being a major pain point for you and your business and for your customers and turn that into both a revenue center and a profit center. All right, so just in terms of the move that's underway, the overall backup and DR market today sits at roughly $10 billion a year in annual spend between enterprise, small business, and consumer. Current online backup market's only at about $1 billion, so we've still got a lot of growth ahead of us in the industry. We often get the question, is it too late to get into this industry? And the answer is absolutely not. We're at the cusp of very significant growth. We're seeing triple-digit growth among small businesses in terms of uptake of online backup technology, so it's a perfect time to be setting your business up with an online backup product so you can take advantage of that growth. And most pundits agree that online backup and various IP backup technologies are poised to capture 70, 80, up to 90% market share of that total $10 billion DR industry. So quite a large market opportunity in front of all of us. All right, so we're running a little behind schedule here, but let's turn to look at the actual SOS product and technology. I'll only spend a few minutes on this. One of the best things you can do to get a great sense of the technology is to call in, get a product demo. So our partner specialists will actually walk you through the technology so you can see it all in action, and then also if you'd like to get access to a demonstration package so that you can play with it yourself. But in general, we've taken quite a different approach to online backup, which I think is behind the reason we've won so many awards for the product, which is that we don't consider it as being just about backup and recovery. We look at online backup as introducing, although it obviously checks the box when it comes to backup and recovery and disaster recovery and protection, it also allows fundamentally new ways of interacting with your data and productivity enhancements associated with that. And it comes from this three-prong approach that we've got to product management and product strategy, which is that SOS is about protect, access, and share. We protect your data, we allow you to access your data in new and better ways, and we allow you to share your data with in various ways with businesses and colleagues or with friends. So, I mean, as an example of what I'm talking about here, access, one of the feedback we're getting from our partner network and in our direct sales organization is that access and remote access and mobile access is actually becoming one of the key drivers behind sales in this business, because now that all of my data is backed up to the SOS cloud, I've got instant access to it from any device in the world. So there's a story of one of our partners, the IT manager at a business, and his CEO calls him on a Sunday while he's on the golf course and asks him for a PowerPoint file that he prepared for a customer 2 years ago, or 3 or 4 years ago. And that file was no longer on any of the servers, no longer on any workstations or devices. In the old days, that would have been a 3-day search to go back through tape archives to try and find that file. But in this case, our customer pulls his iPhone out of his pocket, searches his iPhone directly at 5 years worth of data in our cloud, multiple terabytes, and within 15 seconds had access to the file in question, sent it to his CEO, and everybody was happy. I mean, it's a humorous story, but I think it highlights a pretty profound change in the way that we can access and interact with our data now that all of our data has been protected and moved to the cloud. So it is about much more than just backup. Got some questions here. Are these slides going to be available after the webinar? Yes, they will be. There'll be a video sent around to all of you, and in terms of whether you can use the info off them, if you call in and talk to our partner specialists, they can provide you with some of these slides for you to use with your customers. So there's a smaller version of this deck that you can get access to. Manny Mendez asks, how feasible would it be to perform online backups of headquarters IT servers and restore to dissimilar hardware at a remote location if headquarters goes down? Manny, very. Having said that, with online backup, you generally don't do full disk images, so you're not backing up all of the program files and OS files. You're just backing up data files. So you would still normally have disk images, which, if you're restoring to dissimilar hardware, you'd use a disk image to recover the base OS and apps, and then you'd recover down the data from the cloud. Okay, so just talking about some of the other product features. You can see some of the awards we've won up the top here. We've been PC Magazine Editor's Choice for online backups since 2006. We constantly outperform Carbonite and Mozy and others in the space with our product. And in general, that comes from our approach, which is that we build everything into the product. So we don't nickel and dime you, we don't charge you for additional features, and we've got a lot of enterprise features built into the software that come for free. So for example, continuous data protection. We're the only online backup company with a fully built-in CDP module, so the technology can monitor individual files, and the second that those files change, can then back up those files to the cloud. Local backup's another example. Although we're SOS Online Backup, there's a fully functioning local backup software module within the application that allows you to continue to do local backup of all the data. So that what we really recommend is a two-step backup strategy. Do a full local backup of all the machines which you keep on site, and then do an off-site backup of all the most important data. So you end up with both on-site backups as well as off-site backups. Question here, Gene Matson asks, so the data files are not encrypted? No, Gene, the data is absolutely encrypted. Private key encryption, all the data is encrypted on the machine, on the source machine, before leaving it in it. So then it's transferred over an encrypted connection and re-encrypted on our servers. But using that private key system, which we call our ultra-safe security system, that data is only recoverable to the person with access to that key, and we cannot access that data. We can't see that data. If you were to lose your security key, then the data would be completely unrecoverable. Russell Schuler asks, for the ongoing monitoring piece, how large is the memory footprint of that service? Does it impact system performance heavily? Russell, it's no, very, very light system resource requirements. So that's not an issue. In terms of just some other features of the technology, I'll draw your attention to. We've covered CDP, unlimited computers. So you can see here in this screenshot, here's an example of looking. So if you look at all the competitors in the market, they charge per PC. So to take Mozy as a good example, Mozy's pricing is $3.95 per month per seat, and then 50 cents per gigabyte per month. So if you've got an environment with 10 PCs in it, then you pay $480 per year to back up no data. That's just license fees. And then on top of that, you've got fees associated with the data. Whereas we take the opposite approach. We actually think that online backups most useful where you can monitor and manage many devices centrally from one particular application. So here you can see on the account in the screenshot, there are 6 PCs being backed up and managed from that one account, and that's a very powerful part of the software and the way it gets used. We've talked about global roaming access and mobile access. We've talked about the local backup. We've talked about the security. In terms of physical media upload, so in the case of large data sets that need to be where the upstream connection at the client side is not fast enough to, say, push a terabyte of data, then we can send in the data. We'll FedEx out a hard disk drive overnight. The backup is then run, all the same encryption applies, and the data is encrypted and put on the hard disk drive in fully encrypted form. Hard disk drive is shipped back to us, we upload it, and then the software finishes its work, allowing you to software. We provide you with all of the product and software fully rebranded and skimmed, and that includes iPhone software, web portals, shopping cart systems. billing solutions. We can provide you with shopping cart solutions as well as APIs, so that if you want to do deeper levels of integration into our system, you can do that. A full marketing solution, which enables a very rich marketing solution where we've got all sorts of marketing resources we can help you bring to bear. We provide you with a default set of marketing materials already skinned to your business, but then we've got a very extensive library of marketing resources we can bring to bear for you, depending on what type of marketing solutions you need, whether it's email marketing or fixed mail pieces, brochures, all sorts of marketing resources. We're about to launch our brand new partner resource center, which will go live in the next couple of weeks, which takes that to an even greater level on top of what we've already got, which is pretty exciting stuff, and we'll have a webinar on just that topic in a couple of weeks' time. Our sales solutions are very important, and what I'm talking about here is that the way our sales organization is set up is that the partner consultant you work with to become a partner of SOS stays with you for the duration of your partnership with SOS. And as you have sales opportunities that you need assistance closing, you can actually bring the SOS staff onto those calls, and they will work in your name as your support team, not disclosing they're from SOS, but working as your sales engineers and your sales experts to help you close large opportunities. We've got extensive training programs, which we believe is vital to the success of both you in adopting online backup as something you can sell, and as well as training for your customers on the importance of online backup and how to use it. And then, of course, technical support, 24/7 technical support, which we provide to our partners on a prioritized basis, and again is an extremely important part of enabling you to be successful in the online backup market. Another question we often get is who typically partners with SOS. So this slide just talks to that, but really it's a very broad spectrum of companies that partner with SOS. We get a lot of VARs and MSPs, computer repair shops, data recovery companies and data recovery specialists, ISPs and software companies. So it's a real range of technology, product and services businesses who partner with us. And generally it's anybody focusing on these markets at the bottom half of the slide. So dealing with the right-hand side first, anybody selling into the medical or healthcare industry, financial services sector, the legal industry, or government and education. All of those are particularly rich markets for online backup. I know of one particular partner of ours who specializes in just selling online backup to medical practices as a HIPAA compliance solution, and he's selling it at a price of about $30 per gigabyte per year and making $25 per gigabyte per year margin in that market. So those are particularly rich markets. And then in terms of just general business category solutions, if you're in any of these businesses on the left, so selling, obviously if you're selling backup solutions today, this just becomes an adjunct to that business. But anybody who's selling solutions targeted at laptop fleets, branch office support, server support, whether it's email server, app servers, or database servers, remote data access or mobile data access, anybody who has the opportunity to sell to those business needs, this is a very strong fit for. So just taking a couple of case studies on partners who've been successful with us in the last few months. This particular partner was already an MSP, 15 employees, so medium-sized, and selling to both the consumer market in the form of students, K through 12, but also the small business market. So they had a mixture of customers. The reason they were looking at adding online backup were the ones I've already listed. I mean, they were looking to drive additional revenue stream. They wanted to launch a new data services business unit, and they used us to do so. And part of that was about customer acquisition, as well as addressing the archiving needs of existing customers. So they wanted to be able to sell online backup to drive new customer acquisition, and not just for this service, but for all of their other services, their core managed service offering, as well as then addressing the archiving needs of existing customers. They were drawn to us because of our very strong brandability and our ability to help you drive brand presence with desktop awareness, and then just, again, the power of our technology. So this partner of ours, within 60 days, has already hit their goals, their revenue goals, and are now ready to expand their partnership with us. And that's a pretty typical mid-sized MSP. In this example is a far smaller operation, two-man shop, computer repair store, who wanted to make the jump into MSP land without necessarily not knowing how to actually go about executing on that. So in this case, they actually used online backup to become an MSP. This was the online backup became their first managed service offering, and it really netted them some great success. So in their first 90 days of offering their branded online backup solution, they won 3 new clients, each of which was the largest client they'd ever won, including a government account with 100 workstations and 5 servers that they needed to manage, which is about a $10,000 online backup account. So this is a good example of a smaller computer repair shop using online backup to transition into being an MSP. And then we've got a couple of questions here. Daniel Brown asked, what does the phrase initial commitment refer to? So Daniel, I'll talk a bit more about this in the Q&A section, but we've got different partnership programs, some of which require some commitments for better margin on your end effectively. And then some of the rest of these technical questions we'll answer at the end. Okay, so then this example is where I want to spend a little bit of time on this slide. This is an example of one of our recent partners who's been extremely successful in rolling online backup out. The way this partner's gone to market calls attention to some pretty important principles when it comes to pricing an online backup solution. Just to give you the high level, this partner's signed more than $70,000 worth of business, with margin on that of $58,000, making 82% gross margin. So he's made a 563% return on his investment, extremely successful. How's he done that? Came up with, first principle was to turn online backup into a very high value sale. And the first way to do that is to get away from selling it on a per gigabyte basis. When you work with SOS, you buy from us on a per gig basis, but it's not the way we will train you or recommend to you that you sell through to your clients. What we recommend to you is that you sell to your clients a fully managed solution. So a premium data protection and disaster recovery service where for X dollars a month, you guarantee you will protect their entire business. So you might skew it up as, say, up to 5 employees gets package A, up to 25 employees gets package B, etc. And that's what this partner did. So this actually lays out the behind-the-scenes unit economics, though. He was charging $500 and $750 a month here for his larger customers, selling them a fully managed backup solution, which included designing a disaster recovery plan, doing full requirements analysis and documentation, the architecture of a solution, all of which, by the way, was done by SOS. All of the labor was done by SOS for the partner. The partner took credit for it, of course, which is fine. That's the business we're in. But then from a revenue standpoint, this partner's managed to secure these $500 and $750 a month recurring payments. Under the hood, he's provisioned 250 gigabytes and 500 gigabytes respectively to service those accounts, but the end client has no view into that. As far as the client's concerned, they're just buying a comprehensive and total data protection plan for that services fee. In terms of his cost, the partner's cost on that storage from SOS, $488 per gig in this case. So you can see that as that then filters down through to his medium-sized clients and his smaller clients, his profit margin varies a little bit by sector, but in general, extraordinarily profitable revenue. He's now earning nearly $6,000 a month from this, with a cost of roughly $1,000 a month, so $5,900 and $1,000 a month. This is a great example. I'm not suggesting that everybody on the line today can replicate this. I think some people on the line today can beat this. Some people on the line today can approximate this. Some people on the line today might be able to drive something a little bit smaller than this. The best way to find out is to talk to one of our partner specialists and get an ROI model built. Excuse me. So one of the most important takeaways from today's webinar, I'd say the number one takeaway from today's webinar, is that you can get a free consultation with one of our partner specialists who will ask you some questions about your business and build you a model based upon what we know of the success of existing partners and, frankly, the failures of some partners, to give you really a clear-eyed understanding of what's the opportunity that your business has in the online backup market. And I'd really recommend that. Anybody who wants to be in the running for the Kindle's got to call in. So when you call in to put your name in for the Kindle, I really recommend you also get a quick ROI model built. And our team will work with you to build it to whatever level of granularity you need. But it takes about half an hour to really, for our team to understand your business and build an ROI model for you. And that's, if nothing else, you're going to leave that process being far more educated about the online backup market. So that's, I think, one of the most important takeaways from today. And we've actually covered that already. So just talking briefly about, or just visualizing really the sorts of things I've been talking about. On screen here you can see some examples of rebranded marketing material. On the left is one of our product brochures, and here's an example of it skinned. Here's some various examples of fully reskinned PC client software packages. We've got a tool called the Vulnerability Scanner, which is a little sales tool you deploy it on every machine you might want to sell backup to. So you go to all of your clients, get them to run this on all of their machines, and you can see here it analyzes the machine and comes back and very rapidly gives you a snapshot of how much data is at risk on this PC and how does it break out by category. You can see here the SOS version of it, and this has been rebranded, just to give you an example of the depth of rebranding of the solution. There are some poor imitators out there in the market who claim to have branding services, and what they really do is just slap a logo on the top left-hand corner of their software, and in fact will often still use the same product name. Our branding system is a very deep branding system with more than 1,200 different points of branding. So very powerful ability to build real desktop awareness for your brand on your customers' PCs and servers. In terms of back-end support and delivery, I think this is just as important as the front-end marketing and sales support. With SOS, you'll have a dedicated account manager. So once you're up and running in the market, you'll have an account manager you can call any time of day to help you continue to drive more marketing material, run marketing campaigns, get access to all of our partner resources, and really continue to get educated on best practices on how to market and sell online backup. In the go-to-market phase, we have a dedicated team of 10 people called the PDT, Partner Delivery Team, whose entire job is to work with you to analyze your business, your requirements, how you want to slice and dice the product offerings, how you want to brand this thing, and how you're going to get to market. So they'll work to get you to market, and it can take between 1 and 4 weeks, depending upon how deep you want to go through that process. But we're the only company in the entire business who can say that you'll have dedicated sales support, an account manager, and an entire team whose job it is to work with you to develop the most optimum go-to-market approach. And we regard this back-end side of the sale as fundamentally important to your success in the market. And it's something that I think SOS's strengths here really shine compared to any of the other competitors. Our training team, similarly, the importance of ongoing training. So as part of your enrollment, we'll do a standard round of training for you and your company, but then there's also advanced training available for your staff, both technical training and sales training. And there's also training available for your clients if that's necessary. And the ongoing sales and technical support we've already talked about. So why SOS? Firstly, we're the technology leader in the space. We're one of the founders of the online backup market, and throughout that entire time, to nearly 10 years of history, we've stayed at the very forefront of the space. So we've continued to innovate, continued to lead, and we will continue to do so. Price point. Really, we provide an extremely attractive entry price point for your customers and for you, and that then, we'll talk about margin in just a second. Thirdly, our delivery and support infrastructure. No one can beat us when it comes to marketing, sales, and training support and technical support for you, nor can they beat our global data center infrastructure. And then thirdly, the business opportunity for you. Immediate return on your investment, upwards of 60% gross margin on products sold. So it's an extremely attractive business opportunity for you, built around world-class technology. All right, so that concludes the presentation part of the webinar. We'll now go into Q&A, and we've got a big backlog of questions. Here, so we'll get to those in just a moment. Just in terms of for anybody who needs to ring off the line, please call in and talk to our representatives about getting a mock-up, which is a mock-up I didn't talk about, but a mock-up is just they'll actually prepare for you again, free of charge for you. They'll prepare some sample marketing material that'll show you what your online backup brochures could look like. So we saw some rebranded product sheets before. They'll actually prepare that for you, and there may be some people on the line who've got experience with that, but generally the feedback we get is it's a phenomenal tool to help you go out and scope your market. So you can talk to our team. They'll get you that marketing material within a few days. You can give it to all of your customers to see what kind of response you get. And if nothing else, hey, you get a free brochure developed. Second thing you call in for is an ROI model. So working with our team to get an analysis of your business and just to scope really what that opportunity is. Is this a good fit for you? What kind of revenue could you drive off your number of customers and your type of customers? And then the third thing you call in for is the Kindle. So to go into the raffles for the Kindle device, you need to call into the sales line, which is 877-896-3611, and just say you are on today's webinar and you would like to go into the draw for the Kindle, and you'll have to give a promotion code to be in the running. The promotion code for the Kindle is 0722K, 0722 kilo. So again, you can call in and quote that promotion code and say you're on the webinar today, and you'll be in the draw for the Kindle, which will be announced on Monday. All right, so we'll turn now to the questions we've already got, and I encourage anybody who's got questions to type some questions. We've still got some time here on the line. Okay. So Daniel Brown asks, your solution handles SQL and Exchange backups without additional software. So Daniel, we've got a couple of approaches available to partners with SQL and Exchange. What we've found over the last few years working with partners is that because of the variety of deployment configurations out there with SQL, but more particularly Exchange, we've actually got a few solutions in our toolkit for partners. So we can provide you with either our Exchange backup technology, but we've also got technology partnerships in place with Microsoft, Acronis, some other backup technology companies, so that if SOS's Exchange backup technology isn't a perfect fit for your customers, then we SOS can leverage those existing technology relationships at usually no cost to you, the partner. So we can usually bring all that technology to bear as part of the solution we build for you, the partner. What will happen is it's what's called our Blue Sky Complex Environment Support Program. And we've actually got solutions for a very wide array of technology. So we can handle Oracle and Linux and Mac and all sorts of solutions that can get a little complicated on deployment. And what Blue Sky then does is actually works with you, the partner, to usually do those deployments for you. So when we were talking earlier about that partner who sells a fully managed disaster recovery solution, including a disaster recovery plan and analysis of the customer's requirements, et cetera, all of that work is usually done by the SOS Blue Sky team in collaboration with you, our partner, and then you, the partner. Obviously you own the customer relationship. We don't talk to your customers, but we work with you to design up that whole solution and then do the deployment for you. So what we've seen some partners be very successful doing is they'll sell this fully managed solution to a client. There might be 40 hours worth of deployment work that needs to be done, and SOS might end up doing 30 hours of that or 35 hours of that in the background, with all of the customer relationship management being handled by you, but all of the scut work being handled by the SOS Blue Sky support team. So that's a very powerful component of our partnership offering.
And Daniel, I would say that in the beginning of your partnership with SOS, from the very beginning in conversation, all those particular questions and what your end clients really need, discuss with your partner specialist. It is their job to match up our resources with your need. So everything from whether, and there's a number of questions here regarding Mac, Linux, a number of things that we actually do have solutions for. They might not be out of the box, out of the software that is downloadable. It is a combination of technology and human resource on our part that will manage that process. So just make it clear what you need.
Yep. And Chris Muller asks, will these slides be available to us? Yes, Chris, in part there'll be a video link sent out to everybody with a video of the webinar presentation, and then also you can get certain of these slides actually sent to you in PowerPoint form from your partner specialist. Not all of them, because some of it's proprietary to us, but a lot of our partners find some of this material useful when they're preparing presentations for their customers. Certainly, if you're an existing partner, you can get access to all this stuff. As a prospective partner, there's a limited amount of material available to, which is a good reason to become a partner today. Mark Jones, I hope we answered the question you had around recouping the revenue you're already getting from tape rotation. If not, just let us know. Zev Berman asks, how does your service compare to Mozy Pro? Well, Zev, fundamentally, Mozy's partner program is extremely poor. So even if SOS's product was the same as Mozy Pro, the revenue that you can make selling Mozy Pro is just insignificant compared to the revenue you can make selling SOS. They don't have a branding program. They don't let you set your own pricing. So with us, you can go out and set your price at $4 or $5 per gig per month, whereas with Mozy Pro, you're pretty much stuck selling it at 50 cents per gig per month. But just from a product standpoint, I'd recommend if you Google PC Mag SOS Mozy, you'll get some pretty good analysis. Generally, our product is a far more feature-rich solution than Mozy's product. Yeah, I mean, and we've continued to win awards and innovate faster and better than Mozy has. For example, Mozy this year released their local backup software into their product. That's great. We had it 3 years ago. So generally, we're pretty bullish about our technology and saying that it's a far more feature-rich product than the Mozy system. Okay. Chris Muller says, doesn't the advance of cloud computing mean that maybe most of a client's data will already be off-site, so the content curve will go down over time? Chris, maybe. That argument's been being made since 1980, and we've gone in swings and roundabouts versus centralizing data on mainframes, going back out to PCs, back to the cloud with internet. I think there's always going to be a combination of both. There are very few businesses today who have all their data in the cloud. Most businesses today have the vast preponderance of their data still on site, and it's unlikely that's going to change anytime in the next decade. Next question. Daniel Brown, can SOS personnel see file names? Daniel, depends on the security level used to set up the account. If you use UltraSafe, no, we can't. Samuel Dallaire asks, I saw screenshots of the GUI to manage the backups. Is there also a centralized version that can run as a service, only manageable via a server, for example, or do we need to install a full software in every machine device? So Samuel, there's a central deployment option. We can provide you with an MSI that you can just using, I don't know what type of management technology you're using, but generally we can provide you with a centrally deployable MSI that allows you to deploy it out over a network, whether you're using Microsoft Systems Management Server or whatever you're using in your environment. So yeah, we can facilitate that central deployment. Trey Smith asks, I'm concerned about the speed and cost of clients with large data sets, say 1 terabyte would be prohibited. Trey, 1 terabyte's not a problem. If they had 100 terabytes, then I might be worried, but a terabyte's certainly not a problem. We've got hundreds of customers who are bigger than that. Excuse me, and that's just in our direct business. So, look, speed can be an issue, but most businesses with a DSL or cable internet connection are going to be fine. So that used to be a concern a few years ago. It's really not a lot of concern. It's not a very large concern anymore. Jerry Pickerman asks, does this backup solution work with SCO Unix? So Jerry, we don't have a Unix native client. The way we handle supporting Unix and Linux boxes is through file sharing. So typically there'll be a Windows box on the network, which is your designated backup server, which will be running the SOS software, and then you can expose whatever other data on the network you'd like to protect using an NFS file share. So through that mechanism, because the software inherently supports backing up UNC paths or network paths or mapped drives, then you can handle any data on the network so long as you can expose it in a Windows readable file share. Okay. Herrick Loy says, we're not a 24/7 service company. How can we offer 24/7 support to our customer? Herrick, you can leverage our support organization. So you can ask about rebranded support, where we can actually provide the support for your customers directly under your name. Matthew Tucker says, can I get a digital copy of this presentation? I think we've answered that one already. Kurt Besk says, is the private key technology you mentioned earlier the only way we can pacify customer concerns that SOS employees or a rebranding company such as us would have access to their data? If so, do you have marketing info on what the private key technology means?
Kurt, yes, we have plenty of information. We call that as a feature ultra safe. What meets regulatory requirements for HIPAA, for example, is that single decryption key. However, it's not the only way to pacify your clients. You know, we do encrypt the data locally before we take it, but if we need to, we have those features and we have the literature to support it.
Mark Colinas asks, can you offer bare metal backups? If so, do you have restore to like service clients? So Mark, no, we don't offer bare metal backups over the wire. There's no online backup company that does. It's just the problem with disk imaging is that you went with, I mean, my laptop here's got a 1 terabyte hard disk drive. I've only got about 20 gigabytes worth of data on this that needs backing up. So with online backup, I'd have a 20 gig backup set. With a disk image, I'd have a 1 terabyte backup set. So you end up with just enormous waste of bits that need to be transferred. As broadband continues to proliferate, I think we'll see those technologies converge, but right now it's impracticable to push full disk images over the wire. Okay. Eric Brempel asks, with our clients, SOS will handle a degree of support, or is this mostly up to us as partners? Eric, it's as you please. We can do the support for you in a rebranded fashion, or you can do the support. So again, I think there's another question like this a few questions ago, Eric. Ask your partner specialist about rebranded support for your customers.
And frankly, Eric, most of our partners want to handle Tier 1 support. It is a great way to earn the trust and the relationship with your clients. We will certainly equip you with everything you need to be able to handle Tier 1 effectively. So we're there for you 100% of the time, and most of our partners choose to be the support for their clients.
Scott Mayabarara, I probably have mispronounced that. I apologize, Scott, if I have, asks, are your engineers open to suggestions for adding features and improving the overall solution? Absolutely, Scott. I think the best proof point for that is that the CEO attends these webinars every 2 weeks and talks live with over 100 partners. So we're extremely facilitative of feedback from our partner network. You're our most important customers, and we work closely with our partners to develop our roadmap and our features. Mark Jones asks, given a catastrophic failure scenario for a customer in a business production server, what does the restoration timeline look like, and what is the support like to our tech team? So firstly, the data is available immediately, Mark, so you're only limited by your downstream connection, which is usually not a problem for most businesses, so that your restore time is extremely fast. Secondly, in terms of the support available to you, in that sort of scenario, you would you'd be immediately escalated to our Blue Sky support team who'd be able to work with you throughout the entire recovery. Often partners will actually get our support team to do the recoveries for them. So they'll say, all right, I need this server fully restored. Here's access to the server. Restore my data for me. And so our support team can do that for you. Donnie Owen asks, how may a customer add more storage space when needed? Through a credit card portal, or do we manually add more space? Does the customer have to call us to add more space for storage, or is it automatic? So Donnie, depends on how you deploy. We'll set you up with a portal where you can create accounts and upgrade them and do all of that management. So you could set it up so the customer has to talk to you. We can provide you with an API so that you can automate that process. We can also provide you with a shopping cart, so you can just take our shopping cart and make that public to your customers. In short, we've got a very flexible approach to billing and a customer relationship management. Again, none of our competitors do have that, but we understand it's very important to some partners to control that relationship with their customers and to have the flexibility to be able to handle billing and upgrades in different ways that meet their business requirements.
And that answers Jim's question too, I believe, Jim.
Okay. Matthew Tucker says, what type of reporting and notifications does SOS offer? So Matthew, various. With the software itself can give you daily email reports of backups that are run, how many files were backed up, etc. We can then also provide custom reporting for you, where we've got a reporting engine which is extremely powerful that our Blue Sky team has access to, and is part of your what we call the partner delivery phase, PDT. So, I mean, here's the timeline, just for everybody's benefit. Here's the timeline of what happens. You call in, you get a mock-up, you get an ROI model built. Next week, you decide that you want to become a partner. Then we kick off partner delivery, and that takes between 1 and 4 weeks, where we work with you to skew up, okay, how are you going to sell this? What are your sales and marketing product offerings? And then what do you want the product to look like from a branding standpoint? How do you want to handle billing and support, which we've just been talking about? And then what kind of reporting would you like? And so during that process, there's an opportunity to then either determine that the standard reports are sufficient or to get custom reports programmed, and we'll deliver custom reports to you. So think of it as like a mini ERP deployment as you go through defining the sales and marketing side of the product, then the actual core PC product itself, then going on to the business reporting, and then going on to the billing and provisioning.
Daniel asked about incremental.
Okay, so Daniel Brown asks, does your software support incremental file backups? Absolutely, Daniel. So generally we employ binary delta compression, which on a daily basis will just produce the binary differential between a file in the previous day's version, and then only ship the binary difference, which usually what that translates into is extremely lightweight use of network resources when subsequent backups are being run. Scott Mayabara asks, when you have multiple users using the same computer but don't want them to be able to see each other's backups on the cloud? So Scott, you don't have to give users access to the software for it to be running on that PC. So that can be running on the PC without the interactive user on the PC knowing the credentials to get into it. Samuel Dallaire asks, great, and the white labeling would be perfect for us. I'll give a call to the sales rep. Great. Derek Manzel asks, what is the restore time for data? Does it need to queue up on SOS servers for a period before the files are available? Absolutely not, Derek. Mozy was famous for this, where recovery mightn't be available for up to 12 hours. Data is instantly available to you, which is crucial in times of, when you're doing a full recovery. So the data is available to you in real time. Eric Brenfell asks, with our clients, SOS will handle a degree of support directly, or is this mostly up to us as partners to handle this? Yes, Eric, it's up to you, the partner, to determine if you want to handle the support or if you want us to handle it. We can do either. Matthew Tucker, will you sign an NDA with our clients? Yes, Matthew, we often do that, and our sales reps will have to go through our general counsel's office, but that's not a big hiccup. Chris Muller, private comment. Okay, Chris, we'll get back to you about that. Thank you for that feedback. Okay. Nick, I'm not sure I can pronounce that last name. Harmosis asks, are there plans to back up full operating systems, programs, and drivers eventually? Yes, Nick, that's on our roadmap, but subject to the comments earlier about doing full disk images over the wire. Right now, the data we've got from our partners is that it's really not a business need. You do a full local backup on site for that type of scenario. Is online backup for the most mission-critical data that you really have to take off-site. Okay. Bruce Cantellis says, if we were to onboard a large customer, say 600 gigabytes of data, can we seed the process with a USB drive? Yes, Bruce, we actually pioneered that approach in the market. We call it PMU, physical media upload. We've been imitated by a few others now, but yep, we can do physical seeding. Daniel Brown says, when autosave is enabled, does the affected support of incremental backup? No, it doesn't affect the incremental backup, Daniel. Tom McConnell says, I've called in, but I'm asked for an extension. Tom, I think it's 1 for sales, I think the menu says. Gerard Bayham says, when will SOS support BlackBerry smartphone? Gerard, we've got an alpha of the BlackBerry app out right now, and we're planning on launching it next month. Okay. Mark Collinus says, does the CDP backup live to your servers, or is it always a scheduled backup which stores and transmits later? No, Mark, it's live to our servers, so we're the only online backup company who does that, live CDP to the cloud. We call it Live Protect, and it's a very powerful part of the software. It allows you to monitor key files, and as soon as they're edited, send that snapshot to the cloud. And you couple that with an unlimited version tree, you don't have to worry about the version trees being truncated because of too many versions. So you end up with a snapshot of every single change to the file. Okay. Bruce Cantellis says, how do you position your product against vendors that use an on-site appliance and tout speed and performance due to the appliance? Well, Bruce, so the real question is, how are you going to position this against those vendors, right? And the answer is that your backup solution's got local backup as well. So you could sell an appliance if you wanted to, right? You can sell to your customer and appliance because there's local backup software included. So they can run a local backup from all of the nodes in the network to that central box, and then they can do then you can set up the offsite backup to trickle offsite from that. So we've got partners who in fact do that and sell a full hardware software solution to their customers. It's part of the power and flexibility of our software platform and our go-to-market strategies. Our partners can really slice and dice the offerings however they like. Brandon Jernigan, just to prove we're not reading only the positive questions, says, as a current partner, I find the usability of the reseller portal low. Do you have plans to increase the intuitiveness of that interface? Brandon, we've got a partner portal update coming out in the next 14 days, actually. And we've done a lot of work on the usability of that portal, so I hope that addresses your needs. In the meantime, I'd really recommend you work with the Blue Sky team to get customer reporting. If it's, and that will give you whatever data you need because those reports are built to your specific business requirements. Raina Willicke says, which OSs are currently supported by a client software? Raina, XP through to,
everything.
Yeah, XP Vista, Win 7, 32-bit, 64-bit, Win 2K3, Win 2K8, 32, 64, Win 2K. So the whole Microsoft world. We've got iPhone application, BlackBerry application as well.
And then, as mentioned previously, if you have a mixed environment, if you have concerns over Linux, Macs in the environment, etc., we have strategies to back them up as well. We just need to know about it, and we will share with you what we do until we have a native client.
Daniel Brown says, does your client software support compression, and did you? Yes, Daniel, it does, but you don't need to worry about that. We absorb all the costs associated with versioning and compression. So all you have to worry about is the size of the data on your client's PCs. You don't need to worry about versions or anything else. Stephen Etreem asks, will you be supporting Droid cell phones? Yes, Stephen, we will be, but probably not until later in the year. Our focus is iPhone and BlackBerry for native clients. I should add, we've got a mobile portal which works on more than 300 smartphones, which lets you access your data, stream your data, share your data. So that there is that mobile portal which works on 300 smartphones, which meets most of our customers' needs.
Yeah, so what you're talking about is the ability to actually back up the phones. We're in process with Apple to do it natively, with BlackBerry, and growing. However, currently, today, you can access your data on just about any smartphone you have.
Eric Bramble asks, what more specific marketing advertising material support is available included with the branding, i.e. online integration with shopping carts such as virtual carts, CMS websites? What other examples are there available? Kind of a broad question, Eric. Lynn wants to jump in.
Yes, Eric, I have a show and tell with one of the partner specialists. Really, we are endless in our ability to gear up and give some specific solutions in every area that you mentioned on that list. Yeah.
So, I mean, can we help you integrate with CMS? Yes. Can we help you integrate with cards? Yes. We've got a full-blown provisioning and user account management API. We've got a rich library of marketing materials available to you, whether it's email marketing or website templates or it's actual more old-school, product brochures, for example, fixed mail pieces. So there's, a rich library of options available to you on all the categories you've mentioned, and really, feel free to call in and ask for Lynn Weber in particular. She's pretty excited about your questions.
I want to answer Dan's question. Dan, you're asking a question about us versus Carbonite. I would love to address that specifically with you, or frankly, whoever your partner specialist is. Pretty much there's not anything that Carbonite will bring to the table that compares to what we do. So yes, what they specifically can do, we can do, and then some. So
and yeah, we do have that feature, Dan. So yes, we have a window shell overlay as well that shows whether or not a file's in the backup set. But generally, Carbonite's a pretty low-fidelity online backup solution. They've had some issues with losing some data from their data centers. They've had some issues with usability of their product and just speed and performance compression and all sorts of problems. Their background is very consumer-centric. So, yeah, look, if it's in Carbonite's system, it's a pretty safe bet that it's in SOS's system.
but for specifics, please talk to one of our specialists. Okay, running out of questions here, and we're also running out of time. Scott Mayabara asks, are your backup solutions for Mac included as a Tier 1 partner, or is that an additional cost? So Scott, we don't have a Mac native client. We would handle, so we're not an ideal solution if you've got a heavily Mac predominant environment. Where we've got a solution is if you've got a predominantly Windows network with some Mac in it, and we can handle that. And that's part of the Blue Sky Complex Environment Support Program, in which case it could be bundled into your partner program. It might be an additional cost. It really depends what level of partner you're coming in at. David Morton asks, can we partner without rebranding, collect a share of the sale, but our customer deals directly with you as your customer? David, it's not what we focus on doing, and everything we've talked about today is tailored to the partners who really want to get into a branded online backup business. We do have an affiliate program, which you might be interested in, but most of today's content has been aimed at launching a branded online backup solution. Daniel Brown, what connection speed does your data center support? Up to 100 megabits, Daniel. We don't cap, everybody else does. It's another one of our kind of sweet spots. We've got lots of customers who upload more than 10 megabits. Irina Shevenchenko says, do you have a data farm physically located in Canada? We're launching one in Toronto, Irina. We don't yet have one in Canada.
But Irina, I can predict the type of questions and concerns you have, as we have tons of partners in Canada. Yeah. And should you be interested in hearing our answer to that solution or that felt need, yep. We certainly will answer that for you.
Probably got more than 100 partners in Canada, and we've got tens of thousands of customers up there. So you really should talk to us because generally it's not a requirement that the data stay in Canada. In fact, we've never come across a scenario where it's actually required. A lot of people think it is, but it's actually not.
And that single decryption key that we've talked about in different environments is quite sufficient to meet just about any country's data security requirement or data staying in the country need. Yep. So I'd love to talk to you too, Irina, about that.
Stephen Atreem says, can central backup file be updated from 2 locations? For example, could I save my QuickBooks file and update it from a home system? Stephen, not really, because we maintain an hierarchy of where data comes from, so we'd be backing it up in both places. Chris Muller says it's been very useful, and he's left. Thank you, Chris. Daniel Brown asks, in reference to my previous question, specifically, do you throttle individual customers to a given data transfer rate when they're backing up and restoring? Absolutely not, Daniel. Everybody else does. We don't understand why. I kind of think that's blasphemy in terms of, I mean, speed is one of the biggest problems facing the online backup industry, so why on earth would we as a vendor want to make that harder for our customers? And I just don't understand why our competitors do that. We certainly don't throttle anything. Okay, that is a wrap on the questions today. Thank you so much, everybody, for the participation. Again, I'm just going to launch a little poll here on the screen. I just want to remind everybody to be in the running for that Kindle to call in and to provide the promotion code, which is 0722 kilo 0722K. And if you quote that promotion code to one of the partner specialists here, you'll go in the running for that Kindle, which we'll announce on Monday. Thanks, everybody, for the participation today. It's been absolutely terrific. And I'd like to see you at future webinars. We generally hold these webinars every Thursday on different topics. And they're a wonderful way for us to get information about our customers and to talk to partners and